Sometimes I feel the weight of the world fall down on me so heavy. And I need a friendly voice with some good theology. Calvinistically speaking, so I mix a manly drink, Pepsi and shoe polish. And I hit the YouTube link. Don't say hit, that sounds violent. And I feel my troubles all melt away. Oh, oh, it's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. Beards and bow ties, laughs till sunrise. It's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. He's not like most Calvinists, he's nice.
Your Calvinist podcast is filmed before a live studio audience. And welcome to Your Calvinist podcast on this special live edition with Matthew Everhard. Hello,
What's
Matthew.
up? What is up, my man? How are you? Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have you. We did this at the last minute, so if anybody's wondering why it seems a little janky getting started, it's because, well, we didn't know we were going to do this until about 10 minutes ago, because you and I both have been sitting on a pretty substantial lead all day long with the guys over in Ogden, but in the last hour, things have changed directions.
Yes, I know. I'm a little bit concerned about that, to be completely honest with you.
Me too. Absolutely. For anybody who doesn't know what's going on, there is a competition going on between the Reformed podcasts of X, and Dead Men Walking Podcast put this out and provided 128 Reformed podcasts. I didn't even know there were that many in the world, but 128 podcasts were in the bracket. So it started out with the top 64, then the next 32, then the next 16, and then the Elite 8. You and I both, Matthew, were in the Elite 8 along with Redeem Zoomer.
We are elites. We're elite, Keith. We're better than elite. We're final. We are Final Four. Feels good to go that far. And you know what? People say there's a lot of podcasts out there, maybe too many podcasts. I don't think there's enough, to be honest. I think there's a huge world out there, and there's a lot of great gospel content to be talking about. You know, one of the cool things about this whole tournament is just seeing some of the other competitors, which are really, we're all on the same side. We're trying to proclaim the gospel of Christ and talking about all kinds of great theological topics, some of them niche, some of them broad, some of them basic. It's a really cool thing to do. I think there should be more podcasts, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's been fun to see all the different ones. I just honestly am grateful for how many people have been so kind as to put us through to where we are. We are in the Final Four. You and I are you're up against King's Hall. That is Brian Sauvé and I forget the other gentleman, but that's their group. And I'm up against Haunted Cosmos, which I always call the Scary Universe brothers. So, you know, Haunted Cosmos, Scary Universe. So I'm glad you clarified that, because honestly, I wasn't sure who my opponent was. I was searching Kingdom Hall all day, and I kept coming up with Jehovah's Witness sites. So I thought I was against the Jehovah's Witnesses. I didn't even know that they were allowed to be in the Reformed podcasting bracket. And then I kept trying to Google Sauvé or Suave, and I kept coming up with deodorants and shampoos. I didn't even know who my opponent was. I finally found out tonight, because Keith, you probably knew this too. They just put out a video just a few minutes ago. They just went live with a really nice cut video, professional editing, some jump cuts in there, giving out some prizes. And apparently, you know, they said they're not trying very hard in this competition, but it looks like they're trying pretty hard to me, because they're giving out all these free books and stuff like that. Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to say on the live stream tonight, is that I don't have things to give. I mean, I do have, I guess, I mean, there's a half chewed cigar on my desk. I'd be happy to send this to somebody who might want a half chewed cigar. I've got a couple of tiny Bibles, but these are the ones I use when I tell people about our sponsor, Tiny Bibles. I can't really give them away. I can tell you how to get a discount at Tiny Bibles. Just use my name, Keith. That's a shameless plug. Somebody gave me a pipe
Mm.
Pastor Wade Lentz in Arkansas. I preached at his church last year. He gave me my one and only pipe. You ever smoke a pipe?
Oh, brother, I don't know if you can see this, but I got my humidor behind me. I got a bunch of different pipes. But you probably shouldn't say that with your Baptistic audience. You know, we who are Presbyterian, we're probably a little bit more aficionado with the art of the tobacco. But you got to be careful. You might have some fundamentalists on your channel there.
You know, I have had a few people give me some grief. You know, I've had a few people say, well, if you're going to promote smoking cigars, we're not going to watch your show. But
yep.
I actually have a line of cigars with 1689 cigars. Did you know that?
You know, you and I have some history about cigars. And for those who maybe don't know the background, you and I we met up in a previous bracket tournament, and you were declared the cool, I forget the title of it, the cigar smoking cool reformed podcaster title or something like that. And you promised me, Keith Foskey, let's go public with this. You promised me that you were going to send me one of those fine cigars, and I didn't get anything in my mailbox. So I don't know what happened there.
Well, I'm going to say it right now. First of all, I am the worst at forgetting. So I right now, I'm going to say in front of God and the world and everyone, I am sorry.
That's okay, man. You know, you're my homeboy. It's all good.
But here's the good thing. They gave me what I won for that contest was a year's worth of cigars. I haven't even touched my year's worth. I've only ordered twice of all the, and it was basically enough to order, enough for each month. And I've only ordered twice. So I'm going to make myself a mental note right now that my next order, I'm going to send some to you. And I'm
okay, my man.
I'm going to send you some Keith Foskey's because I want you to show the world a Keith Foskey cigar on the Matthew Everhard show.
I could definitely do that. But before we go any further, Keith, we should probably tell people that they could go vote for us right now on Twitter or X. In fact, if they go to either one of our profile pages or the home of the podcasting tournament, Real Dead Men Walking is the host that hosts all the voting. We have some great sponsors for this particular tournament. We've got Patriarch Cigars. We've got Squirrely Joe's Coffee. We've got Rockwall Bibles. We've got, help me out here. I'm going by memory. Dominion.
Yep. Dominion Finance.
Eschatology Matters channel. And of course, the Real Dead Men Walking podcast. Go there, vote for Keith and I, because we've been talking about this all week, that if you and I happen to meet in the finals and we're just a couple of votes away from actually doing that, then you and I, we're going to have another friendly debate. We had a friendly debate once on the Lord's Day, about the Lord's Day, I should say. And it was a really fun, super fun, very chill debate. But I think we gave out some good information. We're probably going to tackle something related to baptism, but that's only if you and I are in the finals, because if it's not you and I don't know. I don't know if I might pull out. I might not do it.
Well, here's the thing. Should we tell them what we're talking about doing? Because it might actually get more interest. There's so many debates about the first topic we discussed.
Yes.
There's not too many debates about that second topic.
I think you should. You want to tell them, or should I?
Well, let me at least set the stage. When we first started talking, Matthew and I had talked about doing an infant baptism debate. And I have done 2 of those. No, I'm sorry. I've done 3 of those already. I've debated Young Smith, who you don't know. He's a guy here in Jacksonville. I debated Redeem Zoomer, and I debated very sweet Danny Hyde, Pastor Danny Hyde.
Oh yeah. He's a cool guy. 3
infant baptism debates. I think everybody's heard what I have to say on infant baptism, right? And I don't know if I've convinced anyone of my side. But you offered this as an alternative to an infant baptism debate.
Yeah.
You offered the idea of doing a mode of baptism debate, which is the question of what? Tell them what that means.
Well, so Okay, yes, a little bit of background. We could definitely do an infant baptism debate because that is one of the differences between Baptists and Presbyterians. In fact, when people think about the difference between us and our two camps, obviously we have a lot in common, a ton of stuff in common. We're both Reformed, we're both Protestant, both evangelistic in our outreach, conservative in our worldview for the most part. But infant baptism is one of the dividing lines that separates you guys from us. But there's other things too. I thought about maybe we could debate on church governments. Obviously, we would insist on a presbyterial form of church government. I'm guessing you'd be more congregational, so we could do that sometime too. But baptismal mode has to do with how baptism is applied to the subject. And, you know, in the Westminster Confession of Faith, it says, and I'm paraphrasing here from memory, that immersion into water is not necessary, but is rightly applied by pouring or sprinkling. And so technically the confession allows for each of those modes, but it does seem to prefer the mode of pouring or sprinkling. Now, as for me, myself, I actually think that pouring has a lot of great biblical weight to it. And so I'd be willing to take on the topic of baptismal mode and defend the position of baptism by pouring. And I'm guessing, brother, you can state your own position here, but I'm guessing you would be for defending baptism by immersion.
Yep, I would. And this is, you know, this is one of those things that is certainly on the side of what I would call a third tier issue, not even a second tier issue, right? I would say this is tertiary, but still important. I mean, it's important enough that it even affects the architecture of our churches.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick story about that. When my wife and I first visited St. Andrew's Church, which is R.C. Sproul's church, we visited before they moved into the big St. Andrew's, which is there now. I call it Cinderella's Castle. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's just a giant church. Looks like Cinderella's Castle. But before they moved into that, they had a smaller St. Andrew's Church. It's right down the road. Beautiful church, had a beautiful stained glass window behind the pulpit, and on that stained glass window there was a crown with seraphim around the crown. So it was a picture of Isaiah chapter 6, right? With the crown representing the Lord and the seraphim around him. But my wife and I were enjoying worship, having a wonderful time. We go to leave, and she says to me, where was the baptistry? That was a beautiful stained glass window behind the pulpit, but where was the baptistry? And I said, well, honey, did you see that little bird bath up there?
Bird bath. That's hilarious. I've never heard it called that.
And she said, no, because she didn't, at that point, she didn't really understand the distinction baptismal between Presbyterian and Baptist. So she figured everybody just had a swimming pool behind their pulpit, right? Like everybody has that.
Right.
But that's not something that you see in non-Baptist or, you know, Baptistic churches.
Sure. When I was a kid, I was baptized as a Lutheran, and we had that kind of a bird bath style font that you're probably talking about. It actually looked like a very ornate wooden barrel, but the actual font on the top was quite small. And they would bring that out into the center of the sanctuary, and we would be baptized by pouring or sprinkling. And that's how I was baptized as a Lutheran. And that's similar to what we do today as Presbyterians. So not to give away the whole debate, because it's going to make a really riveting topic, I think, for us to talk about. But the Bible has some things to say about baptismal mode. There's other things, of course, that we might have to perhaps read between the lines a little bit. I'm going to guess that your position would make a pretty strong case based on the word baptizo itself, whereas I might pull in some other scriptures, for instance, from the book of Acts and talk about some other things there. But I think it'd make a riveting debate, and I'm willing to throw down with you, my brother. I think it would be great. You know, the one thing I like about debating you is I never feel like our friendship is on the line at all, because at the end of the day, we love each other in the Lord as brothers in Christ, and we can laugh, we can have fun, we can make good points, even give each other a little friendly pushback. And at the end of the day, you know, it's Christ's kingdom first. And I think it'd be a great discussion. Maybe we should do it.
Yeah, I think we should. You know, I really want to win today's competition. So I want to say, it's dependent upon that. But either way, I think eventually we should have this competition. But certainly if we win, we have to do this, and we have to do it in costume. That's the big thing.
Costume.
I know you may not be as big on costume. Like, I honestly have within reach, I have a box of costumes. My son jokes, because my little 9-year-old, he says, Daddy, can I see in your costume box? And it's got all my denomination costumes. It's got my Presbyterian bow tie and shirt and vest. It's got my Lutheran t-shirt. It's got my Big Eva outfit. So I want to add to that costume box a Charles Spurgeon. I'm gonna do a jacket, suit, and tie, and I'm gonna get some little round glasses and a cigar, and that's gonna be my Spurgeon. I'm trying to maybe redo my hair up a little bit, but.
Why does it not surprise me that you have a box of costumes within reach? I'm Presbyterian. We don't do costumes, man. Everything we wear is black and gray. We're serious all the time. We never joke. We only use brown or black Bibles. We're pretty serious. Could you imagine my people if I showed up with a Jonathan Edwards Puritan style wig to this debate or something like that? I'd never hear the end of it. I might even have my Ascension Presbytery brothers bring me before the church court or something like that for excessive silliness. I'm not sure if I could do that.
It's okay. Well, I understand. I will concede that you have a much different oversight committee than I do.
At multiple levels. Yes.
Well, as a Congregationalist, I serve, at the pleasure of our congregation, and I serve with 2 other elders. We are an elder governed church. So in that sense, we could be if there is such a thing as independent Presbyterianism, and I know there are churches that identify that.
Yeah,
we would be elder governed in the sense that our elders determine the direction and mission and goals of the church, and we determine how the money of the church is spent and things like that. And the congregation affirms the elders in their duties, ordains the elders to their task. And we have deacons who serve. And so it's interesting. I wrote a book. It's actually being republished. It was originally self-published, but it's being republished this year by Grace and Truth Press.
Cool.
And it's called A Biblically Functioning Church. Maybe you would be so gracious as to, when they're ready, when they've got it edited, maybe you would be so gracious as to read it and tell me what you think. Because again, there's going to be some differences, but I think there's going to be a lot that we agree on. As far as
I think
role
so
of
too.
elders and the church the book isn't just about elders and deacons. It's about how, gift-based ministry, not like charismatic gifts, but just using people according to their gifts. 1 Corinthians 12 talks about all of us being different, and but God bringing us together for the purpose of ministry and all those things. So I'd really love your thoughts when it's.
I would be honored to read that and to go through it for you, brother. I'd do anything for you. You've helped me out a couple times with certain projects and whatnot, so it would only be my honor to be able to do that for you.
Well, that's awesome. I'll look forward to it. I know they've got it in the editing process now. I'm a little nervous when they see how bad of a writer I am.
Oh, that's okay. We'll clean it up for you. We'll get it all.
Edit it all up.
Yeah. So what did you think about the drama today in the brackets? There was quite a bit of things that happened today, just to do a little bit of recap. But in the previous round, our homeboy Redeemed Zoomer, who you and I and Redeemed Zoomer had a really hilarious group chat going on for a while. We were chatting, we were talking, having fun. And then all of a sudden it got really tight between him and Kings Hall, and ended up kind of being a tie. And then there was a little bit of drama about how they were going to resolve the tie. And they ended up having to throw some dice and cast a lot before the Lord. And it ended up that Redeemed Zoomer lost. I thought that was pretty dramatic. What did you think about all that?
That seems strange, because when it comes up, it says 50.2. So was it literally 50-50 and then the vote was chosen by lot? Was that, or were there four? I think somebody said there were 4 more votes. Or was it really?
I'm not sure. I really don't know what actually happened there. Now, Greg from Real Dead Man Walking podcast, he did end up doing a live dice roll to determine the winner.
Okay.
So he did that. He posted that on Twitter X today. But, I don't know. Is it possible to do a poll in which you limit it to just a couple of hours? Because if I was in charge, which I'm not, but if I was, I would have done like a sudden victory type 2-hour poll or something like that, and then delayed the semifinals till the afternoon just to make sure that had really been cleared up between Kings Hall and Redeem Zoomer. Because if I was Redeem Zoomer, I'd be crying foul right now because it was so stinking close that, there's a real case to be made that he and I should be facing off on the right side of the bracket right now.
Yeah. And just not to change the subject, but somebody just posted this and my heart's aching. That's where we're at. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can.
50.1%, which means I'm quickly being overtaken. So
I know.
Everyone watching this, please go vote.
Yes.
I'm watching my it's like being on a desert and I've got a canteen with just a few drops of water, and those drops of water are my lead, and I'm slowly seeing my lead drip out of the canteen.
Well, wouldn't that be boring if it was an all Ogden final though? Because Kings Hall is made by the same people as Haunted Cosmos, so it'd be same against same. It'd be kind of like watching the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl year after year. It'd be nice to see a little bit of variation in there, which is why, again, I think viewers should go vote for you and for me, put us through, and put these other guys in third and fourth place respectively.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's it. They won last year, and that was his video. I don't know if you saw it. He held up the trophy. We got last year. Make it 2 in a row.
I
saw. It's like, okay, guys, we know you're awesome.
Yep.
Leave some room for some other awesome.
We know. Yep, exactly. We know you're awesome. Yep.
But we were talking about something. You had asked me the question of, about Zoomer's situation. I think there was a concerted effort. People wanted, because of his methodology. I think there were those who didn't want to see him go to the Final Four, and the methodology that some people don't know what I'm talking about, but he used Catholics to promote him in a reformed. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong, because it's not against the rules, and it was certainly clever, but some of the things that he said in the posts, and I did a video with him this week about his worst hot takes. That was my podcast this week, was Redeem Zoomer's hot takes.
Yeah.
And one of his posts was almost giving the Marian dogmas the thumbs up. And it was like, oh my goodness, man, this is not going to go well.
I did see that. And on one hand, you can say that's clever wisdom. You got to do whatever you can do to win the bracket. You do want to cast a wide net because obviously, you want people to vote for you. And so if you can pull in a broader audience, that does make sense to some effect, but it also alienates another segment of your populace. And so that's why it's a little bit of a risky thing to do. But I don't know that I would have done that. In fact, I'll tell you, I would not have done that. But he did make it through past a couple of really tough opponents. He took on William Wolf and then Stephen Wolf back to back. And regardless of what you think about some of their politics or some of their statements, that's a tough back-to-back duo to have to defeat in a bracket. So it looked like it worked for him in a couple of rounds, but then maybe went to that well too many times and ended up perhaps alienating himself from others. I wouldn't have done that just because I can't say what I don't believe, and I probably would not have made some of the comments that he did. But hey, that's his strategy. It's his risk, his reward, and live by the sword, die by the sword as far as that goes.
And I will say the things that he said, he was very carefully worded. The things that he said, he believes.
He's careful with his words. There's no question about that. But the other thing is that Redeem Zoomer, and you and I, we both love him as a brother. We both talk to him behind the scenes, and we have chats. We do podcasts together. Part of his motif is he will say things that intentionally garner discussion. Sometimes that discussion is heated. Sometimes it's controversial. Sometimes it's edgy. He pushes the boundaries a bit more than I do. For instance, I consider myself pretty safe. I'm pretty bland. I'm pretty milquetoast as far as my Reformed theology goes. If it's not in the confession, I probably don't talk about it too much for the most part. But he does. He pushes buttons, and that's his thing. And God bless him for it. It certainly stirs up a lot of discussion.
Well, I am officially not in the lead anymore. I've been in the lead all day.
Yeah.
Just lost it. It's 50.2 to 49.8. And I'm not going to say I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
We're here not giving up, but you're at 51, 51.7, 48.3 is where you are. But think about this, though. Here's the positive. We are sitting on, right now, I'm sitting on 3,000. I've got 50% of 3,161 votes. You've got almost 50% of 2,995 votes. That means between the two of us, we had 3,000 people who were willing to go, or 3,000 votes that were cast in our favor. I mean, we can't walk away feeling too bad, even if we're not the winners. I mean, I feel I'm very thankful.
Yeah, I'm thankful too, but neither am I ready to be making any concession speeches. And I'll tell you why, Keith. I've been thinking about this. Usually the truth is that the person who wins the first hour of voting wins the final poll. And I don't know why that's true, but if you look at the first hour, it usually ends up about the same percentage as the first 100 votes, which is the same as the first 500 votes, which is the same as the first 1,000 votes. And in both of our cases, we were up substantially early on, at least 10 points, probably more, maybe 15. I know I was up 14 points when I walked in the door at home tonight, and then immediately I went down 7 points, and now I'm underwater by about 3 points. But I think that there's an Ogden push, and I can't exactly explain what's happening here, but this happened to Redeemed Zoomer last night, where he had a lead all day, and then it evaporated at night. I suspect that there is an Ogden Discord channel or an Ogden Telegram channel or something like that, maybe a blanket emailing list, because for about 1,000 votes to come in strong in the other direction within an hour sounds to me like there's some, definitely not illegal, and certainly well within the confines of this competition. This is a friendly competition. Whatever you can do to win it, you're free to do it as far as I'm concerned. But I think that there's an Ogden push on something like a Discord channel or a Telegram chat or something like that, because the way that their votes come in real tight within an hour or two, to me is telling. But honestly, I think, Keith, if the rule of the first hour holds up, then we are going to make back our ground overnight and in the early morning hours. And by 10 o'clock, you and I might be looking at a 1 versus 2. That's my hope. Well,
I'm with you. Like I said, I'm not giving up. I feel good. I got real nervous yesterday when I was going against Boniface Option, the Contra Mundum, I think is the name. Because there were certain points where it was really, I mean, they overtook me a couple of times, but it got, it righted itself. And finally I got to, I think it was a 60-40 when it was all said and done. But it was still like, yeah, I could lose this. I mean, if they have some guys come in at the end, it's possible. And I've kind of today, I've been like, I had lunch with some pastor friends. I did some things, kind of doing my thing. And I would look at the phone every once in a while and I was like, oh man, I don't know if this is going to hold. Cause I was at like a 60-40 today, with Hana Cosmos. I held 60-40 for most of the day. And I'm like, wow, doing good. But I was nervous. I'm still.
Let me say a word of our opponents here tonight. I've been teasing that I've never heard of them before, called them Kingdom Hall and stuff like that. And the truth of the matter, honest confession, I don't think that I've ever listened to an episode of King's Hall before today. If I did, it's been a long time ago. I don't remember. Haunted Cosmos is a very interesting podcast for sure. And when I listened to an episode of King's Hall today, I'm like, man, this is a very well-produced podcast. Sound effects, background tracks, intros, outros, good banter. At least the episode that I listened to today is solid content as far as they did a really interesting history of Ireland, which I thought was great. I know that they stray into some controversial areas and other things. And to that extent, I'm kind of glad I don't follow too closely because, I don't necessarily want to endorse or deny anybody that I'm not familiar with. But as far as the production quality, that podcast was pretty good. And I listened to it. I'm like, man, I can understand why people would vote for these guys. It's, as far as the audible medium goes of listening podcasts, pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
Well, I got a surprise for you.
Okay.
When I dropped that link, it had Redeem Zoomer. Well, he wants to jump in. So.
Hey, what's going on?
My friend.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be here, but the link was in the chat that I was in, so I assumed. Anyway, good to see you guys.
Well, it's good to have you, my friend. Yeah.
What's up, my man? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Were your ears burning? We were just talking about you a second ago.
Oh, you were? I didn't hear that. I was in a Reconquista board meeting, but then it ended, and I saw that you guys were still at it. So I thought I would cheer both of you on. I made an announcement on my Discord server, Pastor Matt, telling everyone to vote for you.
Let's go.
I think Keith's still winning, but
no, I'm not anymore. I'm down. I need help too. Send your minions.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm on that right away. I want at least one of you guys to win. Hopefully both, because we need to see that showdown. But, what were you talking about?
RZ, we were talking about you earlier because your vote came in so close today. It was a statistical dead heat, and there's still a little bit of controversy about what actually happened there, whether or not your opponent actually had more votes than you. Some people think that it was actually literally a dead draw, a tie. Did you see the part where he did a casting of lots to determine who went on, and he rolled odds, and so he put King's Hall through? So I don't know, man. I think you've got room to gripe. If you want to gripe, if you want to protest, if there's a challenge brick you can throw in, I'm not sure how that works, but you got room to complain a bit.
I mean, I don't know what there is to complain about. Like, even a dice roll is pretty fair and square if we had a tied vote. And also, someone actually asked Grok, and it was not a perfect tie. They did win legitimately by 4 votes. It was the final vote.
That's what I thought. It was 4 votes. Yeah, that's amazing.
The final vote was, I think, 30-98 to 31-02.
Yeah, so, I'd rather lose by a real, honest to goodness. You lost by 4 than to lose by the roll of the dice. That wouldn't sit well with me. But if your opponent even beat you by 1, it's like, well, that's how the game works.
Yeah. Now, I don't think the guy who's the guy who runs this thing.
Greg from Real Dead Men Walking.
Greg.
That Real Dead Men Walking. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he knew that it wasn't a perfect tie because it just showed that it was 50-50. So I think he rolled the dice. So it's lucky that the dice roll was the same as what it actually was. If hypothetically he had rolled for me and then people pointed out that actually they got 4 more votes, that would cause controversy. But I'm glad that it was pretty clear cut, even if it wasn't in my favor. And I'm glad that I can root for both of you now, and I don't have to go up against either of you.
And it would have been fun to go up against each other, but I am glad as well because now we have you on our side.
Yes,
until tomorrow. If we both win, then you have to choose one of us to endorse and send your minions on.
And let's pressure him right now. Let's put it on him. So supposing that Keith and I actually did both make it to the finals, if people vote us through, who are you taking, RZ? It's got to be me because we're both Presbyterian, right?
You're really putting me on the spot right now. First, before you make me make that decision, like I haven't made the decision yet. So before you make me make that decision, let's wait until you guys are actually the only ones left. Because if just one of you makes it, or if neither of you do, which I hope both of you make it, but if that doesn't happen, then I don't have to decide. So, like, for certain, if it's one of you and not the other, I'm going to support the one of you that makes it. That's certain. But you guys are really going to make me decide now and not?
No. I was just putting it on you just to see if you would.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I would vote for Matthew Everhard. So go ahead.
Keith, I voted for you last year. Remember, you and I, we went at it in the semis. And I was sitting there waiting with my phone to get tagged in that poll. And I don't know if you remember this, but I voted for you. I was the first vote for you. I screen saved it and I sent it to you to let you know that I voted for you, just in case you won by one. You ended up winning by a landslide, but in case you won by one, it was my vote that
It's your vote. Yeah.
put you on through.
Well, I have a question, and I love you for that. You're so awesome. You're a noble man, truly a noble man. Now, I have a question for the two of you.
Yeah.
If there is, if it is that we lose, and I'm I'm knocking on wood, and I'm doing all the pagan rituals to keep us from lose. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing pagan rituals, but if we're doing all, we're trying not to lose. But let's say we it ends up being an Ogden twofer like it was last year.
Yeah.
Do you think that Greg should do a runoff between me and Everhard for third place?
You want to fight for the bronze? You want to go like a true third match? I like that's fine with me because they do that in the Olympics. I think
it would be fun. Yeah.
They do that in a lot of sports. You have the bracket, you take the championship, but then you gotta wrestle back for third and fourth place. So we could ask him to do that. We'll set up a true third.
My man Nate is I love him. He's watching us, and he keeps telling me how much I'm down. I'm now down 1.2%. I'm like, Nate, I love you, but you're telling me things that are terrible.
I just promoted you, Keith, on my Discord, and I'm making the Instagram stories right now. That's how I got the army of Catholics to get me through the first 4 rounds.
Well, I won't be affirming any of the Marian dogmas to get their vote, but I would be happy to agree with them on doctrine of the Trinity and several other Catholic things that we share in common. So anything they need to hear that's I agree on, I'd be happy to tell them.
Keep in mind, I affirmed those Marian dogmas before I needed their vote, but yes.
I know that. Oh man. Nate said, sorry, man. Oh, I'm just kidding, Nate. I love you. I'm actually thankful that you're keeping me up to date. Did you guys see the video my son made?
Oh, no.
I don't think so. What was that?
Well, my 9-year-old, my wife filmed my son saying vote for my dad, and he sang my theme song. It was just really cute. I'm pulling out any stops I got. And so.
You know what, Keith? I got to tell you this. This is a true story, 100% true. About 2 weeks ago, I watched your podcast, and your song is so catchy and so clever. That doggone song got in my mind. It took me 48 hours to shake that thing out of my brain. I was literally like up at 3 a.m. singing that Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey.
Yeah.
He's not like other Calvinists. He's nice.
Not like most Calvinists.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
That was in my mind for 48 hours, dude. I was like so irritated. I had to go listen to like some 90s pop song just to get a new song stuck in my head to get that out of there.
That makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. Oh man. Hans Feeney did me such a solid with that. Doing it that way. Have you heard this? Because I know you don't.
Wait, he made that for you? He made that?
Hans Feeney, that's the one singing. He wrote it and sang
You're
it.
kidding me. I did not know that.
Nope. He posted over a year ago. He posted a thing saying, "Hey, I want to get into making music for podcasts as a side business." He said, "I'm offering a special $200 flat fee to write and produce and perform a song." I was like, $200 is great, but I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have $200 extra. And so I posted a thing and said, hey, if anybody thinks this is a good idea for my podcast and you want to support this idea, maybe send me $10 or something, and I'll try to build up to the $200.
Yeah.
Well, the next day, it was a Wednesday night, I went to church, and a person at my church walked up and handed me $200.
Oh, that's awesome. That is hilarious.
We want you to get this song. And that was one, it was like so sweet. It was a man at my church.
Yeah.
And he said, I just want you to have this. So I immediately called Hans. He sent me, can I let you listen to something real quick?
Yeah.
This is the original version. I now use it as my outro.
Okay.
But the original version sounds so much different. It's like it's like if you imagine Cheers.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel the weight of the world fall down on me, and I need a friendly voice with some good theology. So I mix a manly drink, then I hit the YouTube link, and I feel my troubles all melt away. Oh, it's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. Beards and bow ties, laughs till sunrise. It's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. He's not like most Calvinists, he's nice.
Your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey, striving for superior theology and denominational unity, one joke at a time.
Oh, now okay, I can totally hear that it's Hans Feeney now. I never knew that, but at the end when he talks, it reminds me of a couple of his videos. I did not know that was him, but you know what? That's a little bit sad. That's kind of a sad song.
It is.
Like that's your funeral version. You know how there's even like these still pictures that are kind of moving gently to the side in the background, like at a funeral when they have like a collage of a person's life. That's your funeral version. The other one is more upbeat and it's more you.
And you know what? That was the first version I heard. So that's what I thought it was going to be. When he sent me the other one, the rock and roll version, the 80s TV version, it was so much better. But that one I fell in love with because I was listening. I remember right where I was in my car, and he sent me the MP3, and he said, "Here, listen to this and tell me if you like the words." And as soon as he said, "He's not like most Calvinists, he's nice," I died laughing. I had to pull over. I was going to wet myself. I was laughing so hard. And so I said, "This is the song." And the guy in the video, for those who don't know, that is Uncle Rich. He is one of my best friends, and he helps me do a lot of stuff. He plays the Reformed Baptist and all my denominations.
Yes. Redeem Zoomer, would you have a theme song? You don't strike me as the kind of guy that would have a theme song at the beginning of your videos.
Yeah, maybe not. I have the Kingdom Craft opening intro, but it's just like a few notes that I composed. I don't have any lyrics of my music. Like I write my own music for my videos most of the time, but it's just like instrumental.
Do you play it, or do you have like a computer program that plays it?
Computer program.
That's cool. Have you guys ever used Suno, the software?
No.
Suno produces it produces AI music. I know that sounds like it wouldn't be like anything good, but I had it produce a song about how my wife and I met because for our anniversary last year, and dude, it was epic. It was really, really good.
No kidding.
It's Suno. You just go there on just Google Suno. And you type in, just like your Chat GPT or something, you type in what you want it to write a song about. And I wrote all about how I met my wife, and it produced a 3-minute song. And it was really good. It was set in country music style because our marriage song was "It's Your Love" by Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. So like we have a country music style to our history. And man, it was just awesome. Well, I also have a song. I wish there was a way I could play it right now, but I don't think I can. I also have a song called "The Amillennial King," and it says it says. All hail the king, the amillennial king. And it's me. It's Keith Foskey.
So send a link to the is it free?
That song?
The program.
Yeah, the program is Suno. Let me see if I can get that's what you have to go to. Hold on.
I can look it up. Thanks.
Suno.com. Yep. And make any song you can imagine. And it is free. I mean, I use it all the time. It takes forever for it to actually render the song. Once you make the song, you can hear it almost immediately. But then for it to render an MP3, it takes forever, and I don't know why. But it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. So if nothing else, we got from this podcast bracket, people learned how to make cool music.
That is cool. Yeah, I had no idea. I don't know that I would use an intro or an outro, to be honest. And part of the reason is like whenever I listen to podcasts, I just want to get right to the topic. I just want to jump right in. So lately, one of the things I've been doing on my channel is just immediately start talking about the subject matter from the very word go, and then even introduce myself just a couple of minutes in, just to try to hook that viewer on at least the first 30 seconds, because there's something about the YouTube algorithm that you got to make 30 seconds. You got to keep people interested for at least 30 seconds. That sounds like a pretty low bar, but believe me, the way people click on stuff these days, click it on, click it off so quick, and you kind of downranks yourself if you can't keep them for at least 30 seconds. So what I've been doing lately, just as a strategy, is immediately start talking about the topic. And then 3, 4, 5 minutes in, I'll introduce myself, mention the church, mention the seminary, stuff like that. But that's just a strategy on my part.
No, that's a great one. And I have the same idea. I always put, like, if I do a podcast, like Redeem Zoomer and I did a podcast this week, I take a 30-second clip of the podcast and put that at the beginning.
Yes, so I've noticed that. That's good.
They watch that, and then the intro comes on. Because you're right. If the intro is the first thing people click off, especially if they don't know who you are and they don't know it's the coolest intro song in the history of the world, they don't know to stick around for the coolness. You gotta hook them. And have you ever? I'm gonna ask because you both are YouTube guys. Have y'all ever like seen these courses that people sell on how to get people to watch your YouTube videos and stuff? Like they sell courses on how to do hooks and how to get people involved, how to get people interested. Or y'all just naturally talented? Because y'all both have huge numbers. Y'all's YouTube numbers are great.
Redeem Zoomer, you go first on this one, and then I'll chime in. What do you think?
I've barely ever seen that. Occasionally I've gotten like scam looking messages saying, hey, I can help grow your follower base. And this message is from an account with like 52 followers on Instagram. And I'm like, my videos have gotten 6 million and 12 million views. I think I got it covered. I'm just saying. So normally it's a scam. Normally the advice they give you is useless. And here's what I mean. Because they'll say, well, you have to just make your videos look more professional. Here's the thing. My videos look insanely unprofessional.
Yeah.
If you explain things quickly, if you pack a lot of information to a small period of time, that's what people want to see. I know a lot of channels who will actually spend like ridiculous amounts of money, like hiring a graphic designer, and they get like no views because what they talk about is kind of what everyone else is talking about and kind of boring. So lots of information in a short amount of time is why people watch YouTube. And that's how I was able to make viral videos with incredibly crappy production.
Yeah, I think too that there is something of a try too hard motif that a lot of podcasts have, where it's overproduced, it's overstyled, it's way over edited. I mean, I've seen podcasts, especially on YouTube, where there's a jump cut after every sentence. And I'm thinking, can't you make a steady argument without having to make a jump cut like every 10 to 15 seconds? I mean, it's really bad. I get maybe some people just can't do that. Some people reading scripts and things like that. But some of the more helpful stuff that I've actually seen is YouTube itself has its own channel. It's like a user tips and ideas channel. And I have actually learned a few things about how the algorithm works from that. But mostly you learn from watching other channels that are better than you. And you say, gosh, what are they doing that's working? And Redeem Zoomer, you've got the biggest numbers of the three of us. And I've definitely learned from you that simplicity is fine as long as your content is good. And so even looking at your setup right now, this is your basic YouTube setup. You have nothing in the back. You have a spinning fan. And it's just you, but people tend to watch channels that it's a personality based, and people follow influencers, for lack of a better term, because their personalities are interesting. And I think that's what makes your stuff work. And then of course you have your very, I don't know what the word is, simplistic graphic videos, which are highly informational, and people will click on that just because they want this, an overview in 5 minutes of whatever you're talking about. But Keith, you're successful because you're so doggone likable. You have a very winsome personality and just enjoyable. People feel like they know you as a person, and the person that they know, they also like quite a bit. So I think that explains a lot of your success.
Well, I appreciate that kind word. I of the three of us, I'm definitely the least successful numerically. I see you guys, especially Matthew, your videos do really, really well, and I learn a lot. Like I said, I watch both of you just to learn and see kind of what you're doing. Also, you both teach me things. There are things your videos have that are just educational, that are good, that things I need to learn. But there are times like I started doing a thing called theology from a golf cart.
Yeah, I saw that. It's cool.
Everybody thought it was dumb, but it's done really well. When I said everybody, I just hooked a GoPro camera to my golf cart and I went for a ride and just talked. But it was about something. Like right now I'm doing the 5 points of Calvinism, but I've done the Trinity. I've done different doctrinal theology from a golf cart, and it worked. And, it's not high production value, but it's fun. This might look fancy. I'm in a 10 by 12 shed that my wife let me buy so I'd have a place to work at home.
No kidding.
This is my shed. This is a 10 by 12 metal shed with a window unit, air conditioner, and a dehumidifier to keep it dry in here. And that's it. And I have a Husky desk. That's what this is from Home Depot. This is one of those rolling desks. I can roll it away from me, roll it back. And when I want to do a video with a green screen, I've got a screen that just pulls out, and I do a video with a green screen. So
that is fantastic. I love it. Very cool. Very cool.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to look at the numbers here. I think we're getting close to that time of maybe want to give you guys your evenings back. I'm having a good time chatting. This is the kind of stuff where, I could do this all night, but
yeah, me too. It's fun. It's fun. Yep.
Let's see. Somebody said this may be the greatest meme. That's funny. All right. Where are we at here? Oh boy.
Keith, you are down by just a sliver. It's 50.7 to 49.3 for you. And I'm down a good little over, it's getting ugly. It's 52.1 to 47.9. 4 points down I am at this point. So we'll have to see. I'm not giving up.
Nope. Don't give up. We're going to do a night watch.
That's right. We're going to pull a Biden 2020.
Yes.
And jump up past overnight.
All right. I have to ask you, this will be the last thing I ask you guys. I know what Redeemed Zoomer did. He reached out to his Discord community. He reached out beyond the Reformed community into the Catholic community. He did all that he could, and he did a great job. I reached out to some pretty not strange, but some interesting bedfellows, if you will. But Matthew, have you reached out to anyone or any group or anything? Are you just kind of, resting on your laurels kind of thing?
I guess I am. I have posted on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, and that's about it. I don't know who I would reach out to. I would hope, and let me just make this as a closing appeal, that my fellow PCA brothers would pull hard for me. I pulled hard for them. I got a lot of them into the podcast bracket in the first place by way of recommendation. I told Greg, hey, you got to trust me. Some of these podcasts are small, but they're good. So I got some of you PCA guys into the bracket, help me get through it. I would also appeal more broadly to the NAPARC denominations, the OPC, the RPCNA, the ARP. We are all Westminster brothers. So if you are a confessional Reformed Presbyterian out there, leaning conservative, and hey, even if you're not, put me through, and me and Keith will hopefully see each other in the finals tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know how all the votes for Haunted Cosmos and King's Hall just came through at the very end, but I hope both of you guys win. I'll still be campaigning for you guys all night.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll tell you this, the one that I reached out to that probably most people would not expect for me to have reached out to, I reached out to Leighton Flowers. Do y'all know who that is?
Yeah, I talked with Leighton Flowers at one time.
Yeah, Leighton. Do you know who he is, Matthew?
I'm losing contact with you guys for some reason. I'm getting some latency issue here. don't know if you can hear me, but I better check out. I'm losing you guys.
God bless you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. And by the way, I used that song, that songwriting AI. It wrote a song about Carl Bart. So.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. People are mad at me now that I reached out to Leighton Flowers. Leighton Flowers and I have a interesting relationship. We chat back and forth on we text back and forth. We have a interesting personal relationship outside of the Twitter verse. He and I have shared meals together. We've shared many good conversations together. Grogan's is saying gross, that reeks of desperation. It wasn't a desperate move. It was saying, hey, we have this, we have a friendship outside of the Twitterverse. If you want to encourage people to vote, please do that. And he did. He asked people to vote for me. And I thought that was pretty cool of him, even with our major theological disagreements. So you asked the Catholics and I asked the provisionists. So we both went outside the Reform camp. So, yeah. Well, Zoomer, thanks for jumping on, man. I'm going to get ready to go hug on my wife a little bit, try to relax. You tell your lovely wife I said hello again.
Yep.
And I will see you in the days ahead, hopefully as a winner.
Yes, let's hope. All right, see ya.
All right, God bless. Bye-bye.
You too, bye.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this live stream. Remember, if you enjoy this stuff, hit the subscribe button. If you like this live stream, hit the thumbs up button. Most important thing you could do is go vote for Matthew Everhard over the King's Hall and Keith Foskey over Haunted Cosmos. God bless you. And for the sake of all the good things, I'm going to play my song one more time.
Sometimes I feel the weight of the world fall down on me, and I need a friendly voice with some good theology. So I mix a manly drink, then I hit the YouTube link, and I feel my troubles all melt away. Oh, it's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. Beards and bow ties, laughs till sunrise. It's your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey. He's not like most Calvinists, he's nice.
Your Calvinist podcast with Keith Foskey, striving for superior theology and denominational unity, one joke at a time.